Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So today we're taking a look at another Psyker build, and this is going to be kind of Psyker classic. So we're still trying to find something to fill the void of the Void Strike staff, as it still feels really, really awful. I mean, I would have been happy with just a pure damage nerf if they hadn't fiddled around with the projectile speed and just everything to do with how the projectile works. It doesn't feel very good to play with. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." Yeah, it works. It's just not very fluid anymore. As I said, I would have been much happier with just a damage nerf, but it is what it is at the moment. So let's work something else out. And we're going back to old school style Psyker. What does that mean? Well, let's have a look. We're using, as always, the Demios Mark IV Blaze Force Sword, and we're using the Rifthaven Mark II Purgatus Force Staff. So we're a big flamethrower turret again. So with the Force Sword, we want Flak and Maniac if possible. I've got Flak and Unarmored just because how it rolled. And for Blessings, you want Slaughterer and Uncanny Strikes. This is just going to make you a melee powerhouse, and you can pretty much deal with any armor type with this. Just get those buffs rolling, use your alternative warp charge attack, and you can just decapitate crushers. As for the staff, we're going with increased crit and range damage to elites. This just gives us a nice buff across the board to everything. If you didn't want to take range damage to elites, you can take flak armor or maniac. All three work pretty well, but just make sure one of the perks is a crit perk. As for blessings, we're going with Warp Nexus to gain even more crit, and Warp Flurry to reduce our cast time. And for the Curios, they're generally what I use all the time anyway, so they're health with combat ability regeneration, damage resistant gunners, and toughness. And it's the same across the board. Health, more health, combat ability regeneration, damage resistance gunners, and then a wound with toughness, combat ability regeneration, and damage resistant snipers. You can switch out the damage resistance if you want to, just to increase toughness, regeneration, or health, whatever you prefer. I've just gone with the resistances for now because, that's what I've been running with for a very long time. It just works, so I'm not bothering wasting my crafting resources to reroll stuff at the moment. So for the talents, we're coming down on the right side here to get metal and perfect timing for more crit and crit related toughness regeneration, and then we're going to be grabbing Soul Stealer, Quietude, Battle Meditation, and Perilous Combustion. And then we're going to come into Brain Rupture and Kinetic Flare. This is mostly how we're going to be using Brain Rupture. We will only switch to it really if we have to snipe something, otherwise we are on Horde and sort of battle control. We are trying to funnel everything towards us and burn them. This doesn't work quite as well as it used to. It doesn't seem to prioritize heavier targets anymore. It's just kind of random, or way more random than it used to be, but it's still very useful, and it helps with boss and monstrosity damage because it's just going to be brain rupturing on the same target. And we're grabbing Wildfire to maximize our Soul Blaze stacks. Coming down here to Kinetic Presence, 5% damage for against elites enemies for you and allies in coherency. One with the Warp, gain toughness damage reduction based on your current perils. And then we're going to be grabbing Telekinetic Shield and the Bubble. And then we'll be coming over here, grabbing Peril Resistance and Health Boost into Warp Rider. Sadly, we didn't have enough points at the moment to grab the extra crit, which would have been nice. But I mean, you could dump out something here, but I mean, your only real choices would be Soul Stealer, which is kind of an auto take, or Battle Meditation, which is, I suppose you could, but it's a lot of utility to drop for 5% more crit. And then we're coming down here, grabbing Warp Siphon, Inner Tranquility, Empyrean Empowerment, Psychic Vampire, and Warp Battery. We're not taking Essence Harvest or In Fiery Born. It's just, I'm only not taking Essence Harvest because I'm not stacking Toughness. And in Fiery Born, it seems weirdly bugged at the moment. It doesn't seem to proc like it should. So if that gets fixed properly, then we will take it. And if you're stacking Toughness, then you can switch from Inner Tranquility to Essence Harvest. But I tend to stack Health, which is welcome for Inner Tranquility. So, Playstyle. Generally what you'll be doing is spending most of your time dropping shields and funneling everything towards you with your staff. And the crits are going to help with more ticks. And as you can see, the Brain Burst lashes out and will kill anything it touches. And against harder targets like specials, the damage is still quite silly. It's not as upfront as the old Void Strike staff would have been, but this is very much a dot build. You can pretty much just hose down everything and watch it melt. You will be spending a lot of your time casting, so just get used to dodging around a bit because everything will be swinging at you. As you can see, our warp perils don't actually climb that quickly, so we've got quite a lot of time to hose everything down and just keep charging that up. I've been running this for a couple of days now, and it works pretty well. I mean, you could, if you really, really, really wanted to, go through a sale, but you would be losing out on Wildfire, Kinetic Presence, and one of the Warp. So if you wanted to go for the Assail build, you could, but to get a sale, you'd be losing half of your Soul Blazes, having to take Mind in Motion, probably coming through Seer's Presence, but it doesn't work that well with this build. We don't need the cooldown. So you'd be grabbing the crit. Empathic Evasion's good, but you'd still be losing one of the Warp. It's a toss-up. I found this works the best. But I mean, if you wanted to go for a sale, you can. It's just... it makes things a bit more difficult, really. But as I've said in most of my videos, you know, tinker with the build, see what you like, use what you do, take out what you don't. The builds now are a bit more freeform than they were, so you can just fiddle about with them until you find something you do really enjoy. I like the Brain Burst. I mean, it makes things simple. You're generally hosing things down and dropping bubbles. And the damage output's pretty decent. As I said, it's not as upfront as the Void Strike used to be, or the Surge Staff is, but you're really helping out with horde control, as most of your team now will have either a veteran lobbing crack grenades or a zealot with a hammer. So horde control's become a little bit more important than it was. So I hope you enjoy the build. If you do, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And until the next guide, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you later.